Hi guys. So, if you remember from last class, we spent a lot of time talking about texture, both actual texture, so texture you can touch and feel, and implied texture, which is what our cactus still lives are all about. So, implied texture, remember, is texture that looks like it would feel a certain way, but it actually is flat. So, things like the points on our cactus and also patterns that we're going to put into our vases today. So, let's get started. Now, everyone in your folder should have a drawing that's been colored in that still has the sky and ground left blank. So the first thing we need to do today is get our paints and really work on just painting in that sky and ground. I am not picky about what colors you use. Do go ahead and paint around your cacti as best you can. But because we colored them with crayons, if you accidentally get a little on the cactus or over the lines, the wax from the crayon should resist the paint and push it away. All right, so let's get this part all colored in. Don't forget to get any opening parts that show through your cactus plants like I just did there. And if you notice, I am not being extremely careful because like I said, if you did a good job of coloring, that wax from the crayons will push away the watercolors. Okay, in my bowl, I'm going to go ahead and rinse it out well, wipe it. And then for my ground, since we are talking about a desert environment, I'm going to use an orange. So oranges, yellows, or browns would probably make a good ground. All right, when you finish your painting, so you have painted the sky and you have painted the ground, we're going to just set those paintings aside for a little bit so we can make the vase to put our cactus in. There we go. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. And for my vase, I'm going to be using what is called scratch paper. It looks something like this. So you're going to get just a rectangle of black paper. You're also going to need to have a stick, a scratcher stick. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to have you do is this. With that painting, just very lightly, put your scratcher stick over the top of it so you know how big you need to keep your vase to make it work. The second thing is this. I'm going to fold it in half. And when I fold, the fold line is the line that will not open. That's the side that will not open. The part that opens is where we're going to do our cutting today. So I am going to cut just some kind of line right along the edge of my vase. A curvy line or a zigzag line works really well for this. Just make sure that you are not cutting too far over, otherwise your vase will be too skinny, and you can check and see it'll be too skinny for your cactus. So as I look at this, see how much room I have to cut? Very little, or my cactus will go outside of my vase. Now, if you have a cactus that really probably is too big, then you won't really want to cut at all. You'll just want to have a rectangle vase today. So if you notice, I just cut a curvy line. You could do zigzags, you could do all kinds of shapes for that. And when I unfold it, this is going to be my vase. Now this is super boring right now. So once again, I'm going to set this aside. And I've got to do some decorating to get my vase. Now, since we've been talking about patterns, we also want our vase to look like a pattern. So here is the easiest way to create a pattern on your vase. You can decide, either create vertical lines, so vertical going up and down, or horizontal, but I want you to go ahead and make some lines that go the length of your paper. So in my case, I'm going to make lines. And notice I'm not going skinny. I am having to scratch back and forth to get that black paint on my scratcher paper to go away. And I'm going to make lines that go all the way down the page. like so. You can make these lines thick or thin. If you want to mix it up, you can make some thick and some thin. It is your vase. You can decide what you want these lines to look like. I like to make mine fairly thick so you can really see what's going on. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 6 lines will probably do it on my page. You may need more to cover the entire length of your base. There we go. Now, this is a pattern in and of itself because I've created lines that repeat themselves. But if we really want our patterns to start looking like texture, we're going to have to make some more patterns inside of them. So with your lines, you're going to create a pattern inside each of the shapes those lines created. So for instance, maybe in the first one, I want to do a pattern like this. So I'm doing an AB pattern, so vertical line, circle, all the way across. Then in the next shape between my lines, the empty shape there, or space, I'm going to think of another pattern I can create. So maybe this time I want to do some different types of lines in between those lines I made. So far this is not a super interesting pattern, so now I need to go back and make some more shapes or lines in between them to jazz it up a bit. There we go. That looks a little more fun. Okay, and I would continue to make a pattern between each section of my vase. Once you've completed all the patterns, hopefully your painting is dry enough now that we can go ahead and glue our vase down. So even if your painting is a little wet still, it is absolutely fine to go ahead and get this part finished and glue. With your scratcher paper, you are going to need to add a little more glue than our normal dot dot, not a lot. So what I want you to do instead is touch the glue to the paper and draw a line, not all the way on the edge, but near the edge of the paper. You can also put a couple quick dots in the middle if you choose. Flip it over. Make sure you center it so it is covering up any floating parts of your cactus. And give it a nice little massage to make sure it sticks. There you have it, guys. These can go over on the drying rack or stay at your tables if it's second grade to dry, and I'll get them back to you in a couple classes. Great job.